From the 1918 influenza pandemic to World War I, get ready to learn from one of the most uncertain times in history. Join us as we open The H-Files on Leading Through Uncertainty. In 1918, William Welch thought he was preparing for war until he saw an unknown disease spreading. By adapting, Welch showed what it takes to lead during uncertain times. Dr. William Welch, head of Johns Hopkins Medical School, was focused on World War I. He was leading a team preventing the spread of infectious disease in the US Army. Their job? Recruit doctors and nurses and create a plan to inoculate soldiers against common diseases like measles. When Welch visited Camp Devens in September of 1918, he expected to focus on his ongoing sanitation and inoculation project. Instead, he found something that shocked him. The camp hospital was built for only 2,500 people. By the time Welch arrived, it contained a whopping 6,000. Welch didn't know it at the time, but the 1918 influenza pandemic had arrived in the United States. Welch knew that his day-to-day work organising inoculations and recruiting doctors was no longer a priority. He now had to focus on delegating and communicating in order to lead his team during a time when the future was unclear. First, he asked a Harvard pathologist to perform autopsies on the victims to try to understand the symptoms of the illness. Next, Welch asked a molecular biologist to identify the pathogen. Finally, he warned the acting Surgeon General of the Army. There was an infection spreading, and it was going to continue to spread. So, what did William Welch do right? Let's dig a little deeper. Welch recognised that in a time of uncertainty, when people aren't sure what's happening and are looking for guidance on how to respond, a leader's role can change. He could not work on the problem of military sanitation anymore. The day-to-day norm was over. Welch had to be flexible. His new normal was delegating to experts and communicating about the pandemic. Welch continued working on the influenza pandemic until he caught it himself. He spent the rest of the pandemic recuperating in Atlantic City. By adapting his role, Welch helped lay the groundwork for how the United States could react to the pandemic. Let's learn how leaders can be flexible during uncertain times. In a time of uncertainty, a leader's role changes. Instead of dealing with the day-to-day, they will be spending a lot more time communicating. Welch did that by informing the acting Surgeon General that a pandemic was spreading and continuing to act as a nexus of communication throughout the pandemic. Communicating when the future is unclear takes a lot of time. Leaders won't be able to work on their original priorities themselves. That's why they need to delegate. Welch did that by having the scientists perform autopsies and identify the pathogen. Difficult times require leaders to be flexible. It's one of the most important skills a leader can have when they lead through uncertainty. The lesson from this H-File: adapt your role during uncertain times.